always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back in fine form in the Tim Hortons app, with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson as part of our grand prize end of the year. Canadians can also try and keep a 7-day streak alive and win free coffee or tea for a week. Check it out, timhortons.ca, for a full list of prizes. Good morning, Ray.
How we doing? How you doing?
We're doing okay. So on Mondays, we normally we try and record Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Ray and Dregs podcast.
Yep.
But we're getting an early start to the week. It's Monday morning. And Monday mornings, I do the Dustin Nielsen show out of Edmonton, right? We chat about all things Oilers, all things hockey related, all of that. So Dusty wasn't there. It was Dave Jameson. But he asked me as we're wrapping up the segment if I had anything else that I could bring up, anything Ryan Rishaug related, and tell me if this is onside or offside. I said, well, I do have some Ryan Rishaug news. I said, he's living in his mom's basement. And
well, why is he doing that?
Well, they both went. I'm like, I don't know too many almost 50-year-olds. Maybe he's 50 already. I don't know.
Oh, I think he is.
Living in mom's basement. And I paused, and like both these guys are like gobsmacked. They didn't know what to say. Because I think in their head, they're conjuring up some sort of marital distress or something. Why is he in his mom's basement? Well, he made the mistake of informing and sharing with me this morning that he couldn't be on the podcast. So he's not here to defend himself this morning because he had to take a meeting. And then he followed up and said, I'm living in my mom's basement for the next few weeks because of renovations that we have going on at the house. So fair or offside that I would disclose that information in the Edmonton market specific to his personal affairs?
No, I think it's absolutely warranted. I think it's informative. It's insider information. And I think it is. I think it's a classic case of the Rishaug overshare.
Classic case.
Yeah, there's no need to tell you that. He's known you for 30 years. What does he think you're going to do with that information?
I mean, his mom's a lovely lady. I know this. It's a great family. I get all that.
Of course.
So yes. you and Cammie,
I gotta say,
through home renovations.
Yeah. I do have to say, I was playing in the NHL. Came back home after a season. We were only back for a little bit of time, and so we stayed with my parents and stayed with my wife at the time. We stayed at her parents' place because, well, we had nowhere else to go. And so when you think about it, I wasn't 50, but I was 27 years old or 28 years old. And I will say this, was getting good breakfasts. Mom loved having us back, so it was pretty good. But poor Randine.
Oh,
I mean, in general, poor Randine, but geez, this is going to be a tough couple of weeks.
All right, lots going on around the National Hockey League. Big news Sunday night, which obviously will get us started in headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hey, real fans know the move. Arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brewhouse runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., starting at $3.99. Skip the couch and hit the Canadian Brewhouse, your home for every puck drop, every goal, and of course, every cheer. With ice cold drinks, massive screens, and the best fans in town this hockey season, their house is your arena. The Vegas Golden Knights fire Bruce Cassidy Sunday night. And bring in John Tortorella. I mean, everybody knows this by now. But I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting in my recliner. I'm not even sure what I was watching. I was kind of scrolling through my phone, and I get a text message saying, "You working?" Yeah, I'm working. Okay. I guessed it had the feel, didn't it, around the Vegas Golden Knights based on how they've played since the Olympic break, that something was going to give here, right? Just, again, the history of Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee ownership, they don't sit around and wait for things to turn, right? I mean, if there's a play to be made, they're going to make that play. So I wasn't shocked, maybe you were, that Cassidy was fired with 8 games left in the regular season. I was shocked to know that John Tortorella is being brought in for the balance of the year to take his job. That was very surprising to me. How about you?
I was on a plane, and also I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi, and I was doing some work, and I'm scrolling through, and for a moment, the way the first tweet that I saw was set up, I thought for a moment it was April 1st. Like, I know we're at the end of March.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it was like an April 1st thing, an April Fool's. And I'm like, I was so completely stunned that this was the chain of events. So I'm looking around a little bit. The last 30 games, Vegas has the 5th worst win percentage. So this just isn't over a 10-game segment here. This is a significant portion of the season. So then I start looking around, and I know where the problem is, or where part of the problem is. So I go there, and I pulled it up right now. The team with the worst save percentage in the league is 32nd in the league. That's Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay, they're 873. The next 2 teams are Vegas and Ottawa, and they're tied at 874.
Yeah.
So I think Bruce Cassidy's a hell of a coach. They do not give up a lot of shots. And if I was in net, it wouldn't be much worse. I mean, they could only be one place lower. And so you can be a terrific coach. I think he is. You cannot outplay substandard goaltending. They're not talking about having the best, just that their goaltending doesn't lose them games. And what's happened in a lot of cases is their goalies can't keep the puck out of the net. Now, I don't know what a coaching change does for that, because you're still going to have the same 2 guys in the net, right? Like that's just the way it is. But if you look at the bottom 10 teams in the league, and this gets away from Vegas a little bit, but I was stunned. But Vancouver's there, they're the worst. Vegas, Ottawa, Florida, they're going to miss the playoffs. Edmonton, Carolina, Anaheim. Those are the next teams. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Like, those teams are playing around poor save percentage, which maybe isn't the be all end all, but it matters. It really does. And so I think Cassidy, in 4 years in Vegas, coached around some pretty spotty goaltending a lot of the time. Aiden Hill was terrific in the Stanley Cup year, but has been injured and hasn't been since. And so now you bring in Torts with 8 games left. And I know everybody says there is precedent. You know, they won the Stanley Cup when Jersey did it, when they brought in Larry Robinson. And I guess that's what they're hoping.
Yeah.
Like, can they get in? And if they get in and they can square up their game a little bit, can they beat Edmonton in the first round? And then you're 1 win away from the conference finals. So I get the thinking, but man, this was stunning to me. Stunning.
It was. That's an appropriate word, and it's dissimilar to the Rick Bowness situation in Columbus, because obviously Rick Bowness has had way more runway to work with there. But Rick Bowness hired by the Jackets for the balance of the year. Likewise for John Tortorella and the Vegas Golden Knights. So in such a short window of time, what is Torts bringing to that room, to that bench? Is it presence? The tactical side, Bruce Cassidy had that in abundance, right? Like, I mean, he's a sharp hockey guy. There's going to be the wake-up calls, and you hope that that happens individually with the goalies and everybody in that room. But Torts well. What is he bringing that is potentially could make a difference?
I think the approach is different. But, both of them are hard-ass coaches. Like they are firm in what they want done and how they want it done. Their delivery of the message is different for sure. People might be surprised by this. I would say in my interactions, Torts is Torts has more compassion than Bruce does.
Interesting.
And
okay.
And so I would say the approach almost is a little softer if you can imagine. Bruce does it. Bruce is more quiet about it, but man, Bruce is so, both of these guys are so sharp. Like they are really sharp people, not just coaches, but people in general. I myself, I responded to this. I would have loved to have played for these guys. This would have been either of them. I think John just goes about it in he's got a more connective way, I think, than people would think. Because we see when he explodes, man, Mount Tortorella goes off and everybody sees it. You don't see that with Bruce, you don't see that. You just don't. And it's kind of funny because if you listen to the people that work around Vegas, like in the media, they speak really highly of Bruce Cassidy, how he respected them, how he treated them, how he gave them information. That's not always been John's way. Like John has not always been super cozy with people that cover the team. But inside the room, there are legions of people that will tell you how much they like John. And so I think that would be the difference. I mean, like, you can't go get a new goalie. You can tweak the defensive system, but they don't give up a lot of shots anyway.
Right.
Part of it, I guess, is change the message. I would love to know what this contract looks like. It's for 8 games.
Right?
Like it's an 8-game contract plus the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I've ever, I've never heard of this before.
And look, I mean, bigger picture for Vegas. Obviously Ryan Craig isn't quite ready yet, right? He's their American League coach, but there's long history.
They do think very highly of him.
Very highly of him. Very highly. So, see what transpires in Vegas moving forward. But maybe he's not a distant future option, but obviously a future option and well-deserved. Bruce, by the way, Cassidy has 1 more year remaining on his contract with Vegas. So no different than Pete DeBoer and all these decorated coaches that are let go. He's probably going to take some time. You know how much time it took for social media to link Bruce Cassidy to the Toronto Maple Leafs or, a number instantly.
Okay, Drakes, but let's go back 4 years. Bruce Cassidy got fired in Boston. 8 days later, he was on our podcast as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. 8 days. Yeah. So I would suspect now there's a lot of teams that are looking around and going, oh, are we really happy? Yeah. We've got Bruce Cassidy, we've got Pete DeBoer. Like these are quality coaches. Funny, they've both been fired by Vegas, mind you. But like if you're looking around, you would reassess your coaching staff, or you would assess your coaching staff at the end of the year, and
Mhm.
you've got comfortably till the draft to hire a coach. So,
Yeah.
Pete has certainly had more time. He's been off all year, but for Bruce, he's got time to sit around for a few weeks, maybe talk to some people, understand what organizations have, what's the best fit for him.
Mhm.
I don't forget, like you said, like how long did it take people to connect Cassidy to Toronto? Well, they've been doing it all year with DeBoer.
Right.
Now it's so like that it's predictable, and until the floor above him is settled, that's the general
Right.
manager's chair, then it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter. And if it's Brad Treliving, then Brad's got to decide, am I bringing Craig Berube back, or if I'm making a change, and is it one of these two guys?
Right. Yeah. And
Options are there now. Options are there.
the,
Like
sure,
you can
but
go
you're
through,
talking.
but you can go through teams now, and
Yeah.
I can pick
Yeah.
one, two. I'm not going to fire anybody. So 3, 4, 5. I've got at least 5, 6 openings I have that I think are potentially there by the end of the year.
Mm. And if you're Pete DeBoer or Bruce Cassidy, with all due respect to the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the logo and all of that, maybe they look at the challenges ahead in Toronto and go, nope. I,
Well,
I
then
feel like I'm a better fit here. I'll go somewhere else.
that is absolutely their play. They don't like Bruce has another year at probably significant money, I would assume.
Yes. Yeah.
And so why take a why take a rebuild job, or a place that's in a little bit of disarray, or do nothing for a year and see what pops up and get paid?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that. There's
I'm with you.
there's a patience to these guys that they have to fight. They probably have to fight it.
Yeah.
What is that? The first year in 35 years, Pete DeBoer hasn't coached.
Mm,
Like, I'm sure at the
yeah.
start he was driving his family crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the rhythm of your life, and you don't. I've had the rhythm of the NHL season since 1984-85 in my life.
Jeez.
Like, that's the rhythm of my life, and it
Yeah.
would be really strange, and I'm sure it is for these guys, especially because they're so qualified and they're so good at what they do, and they know they can coach again, and they got to sit there and wait and fight the patience thing as opposed to jumping
Yeah.
back in. I think it's a fascinating.
Let's jump back onto the ice and we'll stay in the
Thing.
West. The Winnipeg Jets, not that long ago, Ray, were 11 points out of a playoff spot. 11
Yep.
points. Now they're 3 back as we record this episode of Ray and Dregs. 3 back of Nashville, 9 games left, including games against Seattle and Utah, which they've got to win. I mean, they're probably looking at the 9 games and going, all right, well, we're going to have a 10-game winning streak. Now's the time to kick into that gear. But
Right.
I mean, Winnipeg and St. Louis are 2 of the more fascinating teams in the league right now, aren't they?
They really are. I mean, they've both gotten hot. Winnipeg's, I mean, they've kind of come out of nowhere. And I guess when they went 0-7-4, that one stretch, they kind of buried themselves, right? Like it was like, they're too slow. They don't have a second line. It's just not their year. And I don't think anybody thought they were going to be Stanley Cup contenders this year, but
Mhm.
strange for them. And
Yeah.
so now they've put this really good run together, and they're helped, of course, by the fact that the West is, just stuck in the mud. Nobody, if
Mhm.
anybody put together any kind of run, like Utah's put together a pretty good stretch here. Now they've got a 6-point lead on the wild card. Like that's all it takes. But nobody seems to be able to get on one of those runs. But St. Louis is, they've moved to they traded their captain in Braden Shen. They went to a way younger group of players. And for the second year in a row, Jim Montgomery's team in the late part of the year has put together a run. And both of those teams, what do they got? Well, St. Louis actually is interesting because they've got 2 games in hand on Nashville. They've won 4 straight. They're 7 wins in their last 10. Points in 9 of last 10. Like they could get there. That's the team. That's the team from outside the initial group that you look at when you stare at the standings. That's the team for me. It's St. Louis. And it's the same thing in the East because it's Philly. They were so far back. And you're like, yeah, that's a nice little streak. Same thing I said with Winnipeg or St. Louis. Oh, that's a nice little streak. Except now they're right there. They're right there, both of those teams.
Near the top of the conference, you see Colorado and Minnesota. And I know you wanted to talk about those 2 teams. There's no threat there, right? I mean, they're playoff teams, they're contending teams, all of that. But you get to this point of the regular season, you use the word rhythm to talk about your year, dating back to 1984. But you'd like to think that you've got a rhythm in place in your structure, how you play, maybe your line combinations, your D pairings, all of that. Yet we're seeing a little bit of experimentation with those 2 teams.
Yeah, and I think it's dangerous. Sometimes health plays a part, right? Like Jared Spurgeon, the game I did Thursday in Florida, he went crashing into the net and he cut his face, and they held him out of the rest of that game plus the next game. And I get that if he needs a few games to feel good, well then that's part of the season, and that's he should take the time and the team should take the time with him. But you start fiddling around with your lines. They took Uroff out. They've got they're trying the Folignos together with Trennan. That looks like a really good third line. But then where do you put Michael McCarron? So do you put him on their third line? Like they've got a bunch of pieces, and you've got to try and figure out where they go. But in the meantime, they've kind of lost their stride. And the similarity in Colorado is neither of them are changing places in the standings. Colorado's first in the division, and Minnesota's third. Like that's it. They're all locked in. So you can't go up, you can't go down. But what you can lose is your edge. You can lose your sharpness. And so I think while it's kind of a luxury to rest people, you want to be as set in your lines as you can be for at least the last couple of weeks of the season. And so, and your D pairs that like Colorado, of course, they've been way out in front since the first 30 games of the year. And so they've split up Makar and Taves. And Taves is playing with Malinsky, and Makar is playing with Kulak. They always know they can go back to Taves and Makar, but now they're trying those different pairs. And I find it interesting because you're going to try them for a certain amount of time, and then you're like, okay, I got to lock in here. Like, who's going to play? They finally get Landeskog back, Lekkonen's back, Colton's back, and now you're like, well, where do those 3 left wingers fit on these lines? Like, it doesn't sound like much, but it's significant. And the coaches know it, but they've got this little time to fiddle around with their dry erase board, and you've got to lock in here. Like pretty quick as a player. Who's my group? Who are my guys? I wanted to know that.
Okay, over to the East, where it's snarly there too, of course. Ottawa, Detroit, Philly, all with 9 games left as we record. The Columbus Blue Jackets are 2 points up with 8 games to play. But man, I mean, again, it's pretty obvious, but it is going to come down to game 82 of the regular season. That's what it's going to come down to. And how about some credit? Ottawa's got goaltending issues again. Detroit's been sort of all over the map. But the Philadelphia Flyers have nicely kind of brought things into check here. And there's some belief in that group that they're not that far out of it. They can get this done.
They're 8-1-1 in their last 10. I did their game Saturday in Detroit.
Yeah.
It ended up 5-3. That was as lopsided a 5-3 game as I can remember. It was 4-0 late in the third period. Like, is it under 6? Yeah, under 6 minutes left. It was 4-0. And then Detroit got 3 goals in 2.5 minutes. And some of that, I think, is, when the team kind of like, they sit back and it's 4-1. It's fine. Oh, it's 4-2. Oops, it's 4-3. Yeah. Like, and then the panic was on. But Philly dominated that game. They checked really well. When, a trademark of Rick Tocchet teams are they play really tightly. When they're playing well, they play very simply and very tight game. And that's what the looked like. And they are like Owen Tippett in that game on Saturday night. I don't know if you saw it, Drakes. He looked like he should score 45 goals every year. Like, I can't believe, I said on the broadcast, I'm like, I have no idea why this guy's not a 35 goal scorer. Like, he's one of the fastest players in the league. He's big. He can really shoot. Anyway, in my mind, he's their best offensive player by quite some distance. Dan Vladar has been unreal in goal for them all year. They traded a draft pick from Calgary for him. What about when a team turns? There's all these little stories. Sam Ersson, their backup goalie, statistically was the worst goalie in the league. Like he literally had the worst save percentage in the league. He's now won 5 games and has been 5 straight games. He's been lights out, lights out. And then, so it's funny though, when a team starts to believe and you sense this vibe around them, it's really, really impressive. And then they got he's just a young college kid, but Porter Martone, their first rounder of a year ago. Michigan State lost out. He signed on Sunday. He's in Philly today. Whether he plays Tuesday or Thursday, he's going to play. And they're really excited. The example I got is he's got a little Corey Perry in him. And I'm like, oh, that would be a nice thing to add. He's got good side. He's skates. Perry was never really a great skater, but that edge, that way around the front of the net. And so they're very, very excited about him. But Philly's got a game in hand. They're 2 points back. I'm just looking at one thing here. They do not have the regulation win tiebreaker, I believe. I do not think they have it. And now we're going to start getting into that stuff.
I know.
I got to tell you, though, there was like 15 games Saturday. So at the 1:00 game, Tampa's playing Ottawa. And so I turn it on while I'm prepping my game. And I'm like, what is James Reimer doing in goal for Ottawa?
and Travis Green probably asking the same thing.
I am like, where is Linus Ullmark? And Travis said after the game, he wasn't available. And I don't know the story. All I know is in a must-win game, that was James Reimer. And that's a continuing story. And in Ottawa, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, Vegas and Ottawa at the, fighting in for their lives here. And they're at the very bottom of the league in save percentage, tied 0.01 ahead of Vancouver, like minuscule over the course of 72 games. It's crazy for them. Detroit, by the way, they've done it again. This is 6 marches in a row. And they lost 3 games, and they go to Buffalo and win the hardest game of the week. They win in Buffalo. They lost at home to Boston, They played really well. Swayman was awesome, but they lost to Boston. They lost to Ottawa, who was missing 5D, and then they lost to Philly at home. And so
Yeah.
the mud that they're in, I mean, they're still in it, but the mud that they're in, it's a lot of their own doing.
Yeah, it seems to be, doesn't it? We've had a couple of weird things happen of late. I sent you the clip this morning. John Cooper barking. Was it Chernak who ended up getting a minor penalty, and then he got an additional 10 for chirping, right? And
wasn't it Perry that got the 10, or was it Chernak?
I'm not sure, but you
Okay.
can read John Cooper's lips on the Tampa Bay bench, but I don't have the clip in front of me. But in essence, I think he says, "What's happened to this league? You know, why all of a sudden are we worrying about feelings?" And I laughed out loud because that, again, 10-minute misconduct is because whoever got it said something that he shouldn't have said to the official.
Right.
But he's kind of right. Like, I mean, sure, you can't cross certain lines. We can appreciate that. But I mean, come on. Like, why all of a sudden are we worrying about feelings here? So,
Well,
that's a fun one.
The unwritten rule, or the understanding, was you could yell at an official unless it was from distance.
Okay.
When you embarrass the official from distance, well, not embarrassed him, when you told him how terrible he was from distance, that would catch you. I got a misconduct once from the bench. There was a play happened. I was skating to the bench, and I was yelling at the official who was in the corner. So it's 100 feet. And I slammed the door, and I don't even think the door got closed. And I looked out, and I could see he had given me a misconduct. So I had to get up off the bench, open the door, and skate across the rink. And so if I thought I was embarrassing him, he embarrassed me.
Ooh.
And he should have. He should have.
That was with the Islanders?
No, I was with Hartford then. That was early in my career.
Who was the coach?
I was really at that time. That was Larry Plow. I don't think he was really happy.
No.
Yeah, he was. And so I had to skate over there. So also on the weekend, Leon Bischel grabs Erik Karlsson's stick out of his hand, throws it to the boards, and you can hear Karlsson in the play just giving it to he can't even defend. He's got no stick, and it ends up in the net. Now, if somebody was going to get a misconduct, that was the one. Like,
you can hear Karlsson it plain as day. Like, he was
Karlsson was right. Like, it was a penalty. Of course it was. Yeah. The guy threw his stick away, and it's a big moment in the game. But when you're around the bench and things are said, like, I'm telling you, there should be a longer rope. It really doesn't matter, but there should be a longer rope. I'm going to tell you something I heard Saturday, by the way. These two players get tangled up, and the one player is just all over the official about this should be a penalty. And he's yelling at him, and he's giving it to him, and this is a penalty. I can't believe he didn't call that. And the play's going on. And the player on the other team, as the play was going on, as he kept skating by the bench, he kept going, wah, like a baby.
Come on.
What's going on? Wah. And then he'd go up oh man, I was dying. It was so good. I loved it. And what's the other guy do? Like, F you? Like, what are you going to say? He's like, he did it 3 times. Wah, wah, wah. And then there was a whistle. I was like, oh, too bad. I would have kept loving to hear that. It was so good.
Well, okay, and we'll wrap up headlines on this. Is chirping down? Like, do players still have that? Way down, isn't it? Yeah, you can tell.
Way down. Yeah, it's way down. I would say as the games get later in the year, there's a little bit more intensity to it. Certainly where you used to hear it a lot. I don't know what happens in the scrums, right? We're not standing there.
Right.
But where I'm standing and guys go to their respective benches, often they've got a cross. And
Right.
that used to be like, that was it. That was like fertile ground, like where you were going through. And now it's like, excuse me, pardon me. And the guys
Yeah.
work their way
Yeah.
through. Like it's just not the same. And you get a little bit from the guys that are closest to the ends of the bench. Like
Yeah.
those guys, if me and you are going to our benches and we have a little bit of a something or other going on, and you go to
Yeah.
your bench and I go to my bench, I will probably stop at the door of my bench
Yeah.
and come closest to the glass, and you'll probably come closest to your glass,
Yeah.
and we'll continue. Like those are the ones that happen most frequently, I think.
That's awesome. All right. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brew.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-through and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-through, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Great day, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
Ryan Rishaug has been absent today. So this is really a reminder to him, Ray, and to all who follow us and watch us on YouTube. Ask Ray and Dregs Anything is lined up for Thursday, so you can send us your thoughts and questions. You can DM us on X or visit the website, rayanddregs.com, to submit your questions. I know Zuby Chris Abunya is he's crafting all kinds of questions for, I guess, the next edition of the podcast will be on Thursday. And at that point, again, hoping for redemption with the Tim's Hockey Challenge. I felt like I had turned the corner again. I had a dry spell for probably 3 or 4 episodes and then went 3 for 3 and felt pretty good about myself. I wasn't overconfident, but yeah.
Had that massive 3 for 3.
And
I still,
that felt like just a crushing blow to everything, didn't it? It just.
It's still time though. You guys are pecking away though, right? Because I went 0 for 3 last Thursday.
Yeah. So Dregs went over.
Proud of myself.
He's at 39. Ray got 1, so he's at 33. So here's the cold hard facts for you. By my count, it looks like we got about, including today, about 6 shows left that'll still be in regular season time here. So Ray's 6 back with 6 shows to go. Not impossible. You can make up 3 in one day if things go your way.
Well, what about this though? Like, Dregs he's always been pretty confident about his abilities. Why don't we try and do it 3 times a week? Or is that too complicated because the show days or whatever? Like, what do you think?
I would accept that if you're willing to concede right now. So if you say Darren Dreger wins this season right now, then I'll
not
go,
happening.
okay, I will make it work. Well, then why would I do that?
No.
Why would I let you back in? That's like giving you a 6-foot putt to win a hole. I wouldn't do that.
If I were you, I wouldn't give me a 3-foot putt either. I wouldn't give you anything. So no, I get it. I accept your reasoning, and I'll just have to grind away and hope that you hit a dry spell. I hope your goaltending falls apart. I'm looking at making a Vegas-like coaching change.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm looking at.
All right. So have you submitted your entries for?
I have. I'm in.
Games?
I have.
What do you got?
Oh geez, I should have. I took. Okay, are you looking at the first bucket?
I can be. I know who I took. You want me to look at the first bucket?
Yeah, I want to say I took a Vegas player. No, I took Nylander with the first one in the first bucket. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I took Anthony Mantha in the second one.
Yes, yeah, he was there.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a good pick.
And then the third one, there were very few forwards, so I had to
Ryan
I took a
Strome?
forward. No, although good for him, doing well. One of the good guys, really is, and good for him. He goes to Calgary and he's doing well. I looked at him, but
Dylan
Zuby,
Holloway,
have you got it there?
Dylan
That's
Holloway
the
was
guy.
there. That's who I took in the third as well.
Yeah, good. I feel good. Whenever I have a third bucket pick like it and it's similar to Zuby's, I feel good.
Yeah, Zuby's been the king of the third bucket this year. I went with Mark Stone as my first pick, just in light of the nonsense, right? Like, I think he's a decorated leader of the Vegas Golden Knights, so I think he's gonna pop one tonight. JG Pajot from the second group.
Oh yeah, not bad. I don't mind that.
Not bad. And then I did take Ryan Strome. He's
good.
I'm
glad.
like
but this is good. This is good because we don't have the same players.
Yeah.
There could be movement. I like it.
I've got the duplication with you guys. I've got Pajot in the second bucket, Holloway in the third. I got Mr. Marty Natchez in the first. So that's
pretty hard to complain with that one.
Yeah, that's
he's having a hell of a year.
So we'll see. We might have some movement here, and I know people are anxiously following along. We've had some messages over on X. There are people who are with us on the journey here. So
okay, good.
We'll see what happens.
I'll tell you,
coming up for later in the week.
Yeah,
we know who's not anxiously awaiting the results.
Ryan,
Mr. He's 14 behind Dregs. If anybody's keeping.
Yeah,
maybe
that's okay. Yeah.
Maybe he could ask his mom. maybe she could make the picks for him.
Well, at the breakfast table. Yeah, Mom, can you
just trying to help out,
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
All right, Zuby.
All right, thanks, guys.
There is Chris Amunia helping us with the Tim's Hockey Challenge. So we'll revisit on Thursday. What travel plans do you have lined up? Monday, you got a full week ahead of you.
Yeah, I've got my last two Canuck games on the road, which, oh boy, they're in Colorado and they're in Minnesota back-to-back nights. That does not bode well.
No.
Then I fly to New York and I've got Detroit at the Rangers. And that should be a huge game for Detroit. And then the next day I got Washington at the Rangers. And that should not be a big game for anybody. And then I come home. So we're getting down to the end of it. And I don't know about you, Dregs. This year has been really odd, with the Olympic stoppage. It feels like it's just forever.
I agree.
And I'm looking forward to getting going. We all love the playoffs, and I'm looking forward to getting going. Getting going on it. And it's time. It's time.
Yeah. We're
by the way, I'm going to go hit balls. Yeah. I'm going to hit balls today.
Are you? Good for you.
Just,
And is it from I don't want to call it a garage because it's not a garage, but you're hitting indoors, but you're hitting out.
No.
Oh, it's actually
we're outside. Yeah, we're on the range. They'll probably have mats down, but that's fine.
That's fine.
And what has really been cool for me, and for those that are listening that are parents, is you love doing stuff with your kids, right? It's just so great. My 16-year-old Reese has got the golf bug. He loves it. Cannot get enough. So I'm picking him up after school today, and we're gonna go hit some balls. But Saturday night, I love when this stuff happens. I'm in Detroit. The anthem's just finishing, and I get a text, and I look. It's from Reese, and it's a picture of his driver. Now, Reese has had these clubs for a couple of years. He's now 6 foot, 170 pounds. He needs adult clubs. Right. His driver, the head of the driver was turned the other way. I guess he hit a shot, and then the driver face just exploded on him. He goes, I think I need a new driver. But right when I was starting, I was like, It cracked me up. I just, so we're off to get that all straightened out. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, going to be a little bit lighter in the wallet after making that purchase.
Oh, I'm sure he'll contribute.
Oh, you think so? Yeah, sure he will.
Yeah, right.
All right, buddy. Have a good week. Sounds like it's setting up to be a good week.
Yeah, you have a good week too, Dregs, and we're getting into the good stuff now. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, and thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you, and thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.